Hey y'all. Okay, so I went back and I watched Inside Out, the first movie, because I just saw Inside Out, the second movie. And when I tell you that I cannot pick which one is my like favorite, but what I can tell you is the one that made me boohoo cry the most was definitely two. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and get off right now and come back later. Put this on your favorites. But let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's get into it. It's a bunch of people in the comments. There's a bunch of people who have put their reviews out, and they have all basically said we boo-hooed cried during one particular part of the movie. And that was when Riley was having an anxiety attack. So whoever came up with the idea to have an anxiety attack shown in the way that it was shown, you did that. Okay, I feel like a bunch of therapists and like some parents got together and was just like, this was my childhood experience, this is my child's experience, and this is how we want to like visually showcase it. When I tell you this movie was so beautiful, how the characters were drawn is very nostalgic. It definitely gave me like the very Pixar feel. It gave me Toy Story, where the main character was Andy, but like how in Toy Story the toys were the main focus. It very much was, although this is about Riley and what's going on with her, the main focus were the emotions and the things that were going on in her head. And one of the things that as a parent I want to like focus on is when puberty hits, it's really just all of a sudden your child emotion changes. All of a sudden they're not doing the things they used to. Everything is hyper like sensitive. There's a lot of emotions going on, especially if you're a girl. I remember puberty. I remember being a teenager. I remember feeling like my mom didn't understand what the hell was going on, and I remember not fit like I understood what was going on with myself. All right, that's a weird crazy feeling when you already built a sense of self from like preschool through pretty much middle school. You feel like you know who you are, and then boom, everything changes. And it's wild. One of the things that I wanted them to talk about was hormones, but I'm glad that they only talked about the emotional aspect and how the brain functions with emotions. Maybe on the third movie, if they have one, they'll talk more about like how hormones work in this sense. But I really, really, really enjoyed how they like visually represented the belief system. Also how they represented how like different functions of the brain work from when she was asleep, and how anxiety had her still up at night thinking about all the weird and maybe impossible or possible situations, because that's what anxiety does. Anxiety makes your heart percolate. It makes you think about things that don't actually exist. You worry, you're scared, you're fearful, you think you're not good enough, you think you're not worthy enough, and then you like push yourself. You push yourself to the point where you can't take it. And there's a lot of people, because of anxiety, they hide, they run, they hyperventilate, or they go completely off the deep end. And it's really up to your other emotions to keep anxiety at bay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love how in the first movie, all the emotions were kind of doing their own thing, and it had to go through this whole journey for them to realize that they need each other. And everybody focuses so much on wanting to be happy, because happiness is that feel good feeling, right? You want to be happy, you want to feel joy all the time. And in part two, the breakdown of joy basically is like, I'm tired of y'all complaining. Of course I'm delusional. How else could I function if, I'm supposed to be happy, I'm supposed to be joyful, but everybody around me is complaining, and the things that are happening in my life aren't exactly helpful and joyful. So in that moment, Joy distribute different emotions herself, and I love that, because everything is not just one picture, it's not just black and white. So in this movie, we see all the emotions working together. Okay, and then puberty hits and everything skyrocketed. Okay, suddenly anger was hiding, even sadness was hiding. It was a perfect representation. And if you have like a teenager, even a middle schooler, because nowadays people are hitting puberty early. Like some girls are getting their like periods at like age of 9, so you have to have certain conversations not only the sex talk, but you have to have conversations about like how things might feel, how things might change at an earlier age. And this movie is a perfect conversation starter. You know, if you take your child to go see this movie, I would like y'all to ask these questions afterwards. Like, how does this make you feel? Do you think you can relate to it? Do you understand what's going on? Have you ever felt like this before? Why did Riley do this to her friends? Like, I also enjoyed envy. Okay, so I didn't expect them to have envy and wee wee as emotions, but it's perfect. Like, they had boredom in there, because we do have that point as a child. You're bored with everything. You feel like luster. You don't care. You're just like, you're trying to be cool. Like, that is a teenage thing, okay? And also, envy. Jealousy is something that we don't talk about enough. Like, people want to act like people don't feel jealous, or that it's only in a grown-up emotion, but in reality, it starts as kids. You get jealous or envious of what the other person wants, and you want to be like them. Like, that emulation starts at peers, you know, when we start paying more attention to our peers than our parents. And I loved how it worked, that envy, disgust, fear, and anxiety worked so well together in this movie to show you what it's like. Okay, so in the first movie we had fear. You know, fear was definitely there to stop Riley from doing X, Y, and Z. But in this movie, we have fear working with anxiety, and they even had a really funny way of showing what happens when you bottle up your emotions and how anxiety took over. So I suggest you go and you watch this movie. So as I was saying, I suggest you guys go see this movie. Definitely take a kid with you, and even if you don't, just go and enjoy it. I have so many more points on this movie that I could touch, but I most definitely would say bring you a nice little tissue, because if you have remotely close to dealing with anxiety, you're gonna boo-hoo. You're going to boo-hoo, okay? There's some like remarkable quotes in this show. There's also some really funny moments. Like, there's a little callback, some Easter eggs. I personally gagged at the fact that the emotions were bottled up and then they were thrown in the back of Riley's mind, and like the part where she keeps all her secrets. And one of her secrets were this backpack that very much reminds you of Dora, like backpack. And they had this 2D dimensional character in there that really like reminds you of PBS Kids. There's a video game, little hidden Easter egg in there. So if I were you, I would go see the movie. It's a great movie. Perfect for adults, perfect for kids, perfect for anybody trying to understand teenagers. Go see it.